Ireland's Classic Hits Radio. How are you doing? It's Trina Marr. We were having a laugh there with Deirdre O'Keefe from Birdie, because Deirdre said to me, don't ring me now till I need to go for a wee and I need to go and get my laptop open. And I said to you, Deirdre,
confidential.
Yeah, but what I said to you was, hang on a second, last week on the show on Friday, I was so proud of myself because I had a song that was 3 minutes 16 seconds in length and I needed a wee. I needed to leave the studio, get to the toilet, and bear in mind, the toilet that we're using at the moment, there's just one toilet, so normally there's a woman in there and you have to wait.
Yeah.
So I had to do that, and I was wearing a jumpsuit. So you
I was
can
going to
imagine.
say, what were you wearing, Trina? What were you wearing?
Jumpsuit. And you know how difficult that is when you need a wee.
The most impractical outfit on earth. They look great, but you know, when you need the toilet, you kind of think, not a great idea.
Well, can I tell you, I did that and got half dressed and back to the studio in time for my song. Are you proud of me? I was getting voice notes and everything in from listeners saying how proud they were, how I could do it.
I'm proud of you, Trina. Yeah. I'm proud of you. I don't know if I believe you, but I'm proud of you. I don't know if you were fully clothed when you got back.
I know. I have to check the cameras. It was like an Olympic sport. Anyway, we digress. Let's talk today about auto-enrolment when it comes to your pensions. Deirdre O'Keefe is here from birdie.ie under her alter ego Clever Birdie. She's a clever one in birdie.ie.
I am.
Yeah.
I am.
So this auto-enrolment for the pensions is coming out, is it January 2025? So January coming.
Yeah, and that's actually delayed because really, when I'm talking to you right now, we should actually be in the height of it right now, but it was constantly being pushed back, and we didn't even know if it was going to happen, but it was signed into actual law about a month or two ago, so it is happening, and it means a big change for employees, employers, software companies, everything across the board. So I don't know how people are feeling about this, and people are very confused about it, even though it's been spoken about for so long. So I'm here to answer whatever questions you have about the auto-enrolment of pensions.
Okay, so first off, how much do you have to be earning to be auto-enrolled? Is there a limit?
There is. Okay, so I suppose then logically, should we go through, maybe I'll just run through what the eligibility is, because there is quite a strict criteria, and it's not a big criteria, so it is fairly easy to understand. So the first thing is you need to be between the ages of 23 and 60 and not currently paying into any type of pension plan at all. That includes PRSAs, private pensions. A pension is a pension. So if you are in a pension, you are not going to be included in this process. And then you must be earning €20,000 or more in a year. But I have people saying to me, that's grand, my employee only earns 18k. And I said, listen, you don't know their other income. They could have other jobs. They could have some sort of, social welfare income. I am currently trying to get in touch with somebody from the government to clarify, does the likes of, say, carers allowance count as income? I personally think it should, as it's taxable. But there you go. So basically 23 and 60, not part of a pension, and earning €20,000 or more. That's the criteria to get pulled into the scheme, because you've no choice in it initially. Okay, you're going to be brought into it whether you like it or not. Now, let's talk brass tacks, the bit you want to know about. How much is it going to cost you? So for the first phase, which is classes the year 2025 to 2027, it's going to be capped at 1.5% of your salary is going to be taken and put into this pension pot for you. Your salary is going to be capped at 80k. So if you're earning more than 80k is the max that will be calculated on. Then the employer is going to be also matching it. So they have to also pay in 1.5%. And then the government are coming in with their so generous 0.5%. So in money terms, for every €3 that you pay in as an employee, your employer is going to pay in €3 and the government is going to match it with 1.
Okay.
So that's the money bit.
Now, you mentioned there about some people might have a couple of different jobs. So in that case, which employer pays in?
It's going to be a case of every employer is going to have to pay in. They're all, so say, for example, you're working for me and I'm, say, paying you 12,000. I'm going to be paying in the 1.5 on the 12,000.
Right.
And your employer down the road who might be paying you, say, 12, 15,000, they're going to be doing that. So it's going to be split on who's working for who. Now, obviously, these things could ultimately change, but I think that would be the most fair way to do it. Otherwise, it's going to cause a lot of distortion in the employment market. You might have people trying to avoid, employing people to get around this. So for now, it looks like it's going to be even Stevens, whoever is employing the person, pays their cut, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Now, I know you said, Deirdre, that if you already have a pension of any sort, you won't be included in the auto-enrolment. But so say if you do have a pension and your employer is not contributing to it, do you kind of lose out then?
You do. They were talking about this in the newspaper. It was actually last year, and it kind of went very underground. Nobody seemed to notice this newspaper article that I think it was the Irish Times or the Indo that did it, about legal loopholes. Because if you were, say, inclined to not want to be involved in this scheme because you don't want to pay in for your employee, you could, in theory, right now, go and set up the likes of a PRSA for your employee where they pay in. You don't legally have to match for a PRSA, but they can pay in. So technically, they're now out of the loop for auto-enrolment. Now, I should also say that even if you're not earning 20,000 euros or more in a year, that doesn't mean you can't be included. It just means you're not going to automatically. So if you are an employee on less than 20,000 euros, you can actually opt in to this new pension scheme, and your employer is actually legally going to be obliged to do the matching for you.
Say that again to me, Deirdre. Say that again.
So auto-enrolment is essentially, it's going to be an automated system. So anyone who I said fulfill that criteria, they're automatically going to be brought into the system. But employees that don't comply with the earnings part, so if they are earning less than 20,000, they can choose. They can choose to join this, and the employer is still going to have to participate. So auto-enrolment is really just there to try to, I suppose, force the hand to people, because ultimately a pension is good. Nobody can get by comfortably on what people are currently getting at their state pension. I think it's an Irish thing. I don't know if anyone saw me when I took part in a certain show a few years ago. I was very against pensions.
This is where we found you, Deirdre. I spotted you on that show.
I know. I was dragging the old heels.
Yeah.
And, I was dragging the old heels at a pension. I can tell you that for free.
You weren't into it at all,
I was kind of reared to believe a pension was bad, but it's not. We need pensions. We'll be grateful of it. And 1.5%, it's not a fortune. Like it's going to be taken out in increments over your weekly or monthly salary. And I think you'll be grateful for it when it does happen. Now, you can opt out. After 6 months, if you decide you don't want to have anything to do with this, you can opt out. But you will be auto-enrolled back in again 2 years later. So they're going to keep trying to pull you back in, no matter what you do. So I would be encouraging people, go with it.
It feels a little bit unfair, though, for somebody who went out themselves and said, right, I'm going to sort out a pension for myself, even maybe in the last year, and their employer is not contributing. And then this thing is coming in now where the person sitting next to them is going to get a contribution from their employer.
100%.
Can you cancel your pension and start again?
You could, in theory, cancel. You could come out of your pension. Now, obviously, you'd have to get advice now, because I wouldn't like to be seeing people, opt out of pensions in case it meant they would lose something that they put in. But yeah, in theory, you could cancel, you could leave a pension plan. But again, I don't know if the government is going to leave it be. The government, they tend to not like people that can, go through loopholes. So I would just say watch this space and let's see what happens in terms of this little loophole that people found, because I do think that there's going to be a big uptake in this, and once it becomes kind of part and parcel of our daily life, because it's new now. We don't like news. New is awful and scary and costly. But you know what? It's just going to be one of those things. It's like, we still pay USC. We hate paying USC, but we've been paying it so long now, we barely even, remember when we didn't pay it. This is all coming, and it's going to be made fairly seamless for the employers. The employer doesn't even have to go and talk to a pension person. There's a whole new public body being set up to do this for the employers, and you're just going to pay into a set type of pension. Now, if you're a risky type of person, you can contact the body that's going to be set up to say, I want to spread my risk into a more risky pension. But I think that's kind of a bit above a lot of people's heads for now. But basically, everything's going to be looked after. The payroll softwares are going to have to come round. The employers will just have it coming out of the wages, and they'll just return it to revenue, who will pass it on to the people that need to go to. So it should, fingers crossed, be fairly easy when it comes around in January, if it's going to actually start in January, of course.
God, I wish I knew about pensions when I was 23. Imagine having been paying into a pension from that age. I know you feel at that age, you're like, oh, would you stop? But before you know it.
And they know this, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I started my pension at age 40. You know, it's never too late. Well, that's what the financial people say. So I'm just going with what they say. They sound clever.
And you are clever. Deirdre O'Keefe there, clever birdie. That's her what's it you say is your alter ego from
my
Birdie.
Alter ego.
Birdie.ie, spelled BURDY.ie. Deirdre, we'll chat to you soon.
Thanks, Trina. Mind yourself.
Thanks,
Bye.
Emil. It's Ireland's Classic Hits Radio.